A very good evening to all of you, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the event of Digital Summit Pristina 2022, the inspiring talks about trust and security. We are delighted to have them here with us, three experienced speakers from different industries of the cybersecurity. Mr. Ramsés Gallego, Mrs. Blerta Shabani Kroiter, Mrs. Teuta Hyseni. I'm going to invite Mrs. Blerta Shabani, cybersecurity specialist, Raiffeisen Bank International. We're happy to have here to share talks with us about cybersecurity in financial terms.
Thank you, everybody that stayed here to hear our speeches and stories. I'm feeling very positive, with positive vibes to see all these young people concentrated here, and especially to see among all of you a lot of women, because we all know that women are a bit underrated in this area, so I'm very happy that this ratio is going a bit up. So I'm being a little feminist here, but I'm here today to present my career path in cybersecurity, and I will start with my personal childhood story. So basically, when I was at the first grade in my primary school, we already had a computer. Back then it was so expensive, my dad needed to take a loan to get it. It was an Atari, so I was checking my first grade mathematical problems on a computer. Like, it was very simple, 2 plus 2, 7 plus 8, and etc. So one day I went to my father after checking my homeschool assignments, and I told him, Daddy, please come, the computer made a mistake. And he laughed at me and came to the room, and we jointly saw that the mistake was not in the computer. He explained that the computers never make the mistake, and he was so kind enough to point my own mistake there. So back then I started basically the first programming that I did. I was able to draw some circles to change the different parameters, change the colors. It was cobbled back then, very, very basic. Nowadays, we don't even talk about it or learn about it at school. So that was my childhood wish, and it stayed my passion. So this is how my career path actually began. Then I continued studying in high school. I finished it here in Kosovo, started to basically have the higher education. I finished my computer science studies, the bachelor degree here in the University of Fijek in Pristina. Then I continued with my master degrees. On top of that, I also did a second bachelor degree in telecommunication. I was at that time the first generation on the bachelor degrees, and some of my colleagues here present, thank you for being here, know how we struggled because we had to squeeze this 6 years into 3 years. So we had like double majors, mathematics number 1 and 2 in one subject. So it was not that easy to achieve. But we were all persistent. We loved what we're doing. The motivation was there. So when the motivation is there, you always find a way to achieve your goals and your dreams. After that, I started a little bit of working. My first work I got with a CCNA certificate. I was lucky enough to be part of that as well. After being employed, I did a lot of other professional certificates. One of my first one was CompTIA Security Plus Essentials. That was really the very first essentials of my, at that time, called information security. I did work in a local bank for the Raiffeisen Bank, Kosovo, and I was lucky enough that we had these development processes, projects, and I was given the opportunity to undergo other certification. For example, I also undertake the Certified Ethical Hacker, CCIP, CCNA, then PMP, the ISO certificates of 27001, the lead auditor, the 27005 risk manager, and etc. So it was all building up the skills combined with the practical knowledge of working. So it gave me also the opportunity to move forward and to go ahead and have an international career. So I'm working almost 10 years now at Raiffeisen Bank International at headquarters. Back then, I get a lot of questions, how did this happen? How did I went there? I never had actually an ambition to move away from the country. I love my country, I love my job. I had my family here, but the opportunity came and I did use it. To be frank with all of you, I didn't have that much time to think over it. And now I see that sometimes, yeah, when chances come in life, there is this break point when you either have to take it or leave it. So I was also encouraged by my family, friends, to take this opportunity. And here I am today before you all, just demonstrating my path, that it is actually very possible to do work and study here in Kosovo and still be able to compete with international competition and be very competent in whatever we choose to do. On the other hand, I wanted to talk to you that even though I do have a job now and the learning path actually never stopped and will never stop. So we do learn as we go until the death, I guess. With the new technologies, the new challenges come. So every 2 to 3 years we have new projects and it's never ending story. It's also very challenging and keeps me very motivated so that we are basically not bored on what we do. So this is more or less all about my, let's say, personal side. I just wanted to take the opportunity and talk to you a little bit about some, let's say, major cybersecurity threats in banking. First of all would be ransomware. Ransomware, it's a little bit underestimated because we don't talk about it publicly, but there are a lot of ransomware going on and companies publicly do not admit. But it's a threat number one. Then the second threat is the new way of work. As we all know, COVID has changed the way we think, we live, we work, so we are all working from home. And we have stepped back in terms of security from protecting our fortress, our head offices, to going and working from home. So there were some challenges there as well. We are still facing with it. And I think that this new way of working is not only touching banking, it's touching every single aspect of life and work, and we are all together also merging towards cloud so much. So the third category will be also the cloud security, the new challenges with cloud, and this expansion of digitalization using the cloud, the AWS, etc. Then some other very bank-specific cybersecurity, let's say, risks are regarding to ATMs, the cash machines, and POS, so the payment devices, where the fraudsters always want to make a way and either take the cash or take the credit card numbers and personal data in that term. On the other hand, we do have the social engineering, which is actually, it has always been there, and now in this new area of social networks and young and old being there, out there on the internet being exposed, so social engineering is very accurate and quite high. And let's say at the last but not the least important is the data leakages that are coming as a result of other types of attacks, phishing attacks, and et cetera, et cetera. So basically, however we in security or whatever state-of-the-art technology that we are deciding to use in any segment of the life, at the end of the day, the human factor is the weakest link in the security, and that's why we, as a bank, as an institution, always have this awareness program to educate the end users as good as possible. And I think that a lot of awareness programs are out there in combination with tools and another security tests. So all together with technology, with moving technology, we are heading towards all the challenges that are coming towards us. But at the end of the day, we all know that we cannot be 100% secure, and there is always some residual risk that we need to take. So this will be all from my side, and I would really like you to come up with some questions if you have regarding career or any other topics. Yes, please.
I'm wondering what stimulated your interest in cybersecurity, and initially, before immersing in the field, were you confident that you were going to succeed?
If I would be frankly speaking, of course, I didn't know when I started the studying process that I will be a cybersecurity specialist one day, because I do like the networking. We do studied programming language, which I really like. We do studied the web design, and I all liked it all. But I also like telecommunication. But by the way you study, and you get a chance to try all of that, and then you just watch where your heart goes and follow those instincts, and most important, do what you love, and then you will always have success. So more questions? Come on, Pristina. Yes, please, Mitrovica.
Okay, my question was, you as a cybersecurity specialist, what advice would you give to the youngsters that want to be in your place one day?
So first of all, the strong motivation, and second of all, This generation, I would say, is very lucky because back at the day, we didn't have our computers. We had a lab in some 10 PCs. All of our students were there, so we were like sharing them, etc. Nobody had servers at home. And now you're all exposed to all this technology. When I went to my certification, I need to read a book. Now you don't even have to read. You have the videos. You have the opportunity of having virtual service, virtual lab, virtual everything. So you don't even need to be subscribed. You just go to YouTube. You see something that you heard today, some notions, for example, or whatever, and you will find dozens of information, of trainings, videos, and etc. So follow your instinct, and you do take the leverage of what's available now in the internet free of charge, basically. Welcome. More questions? Other cities, come on. So I came all over from Vienna to set up a good example, and I'm very happy also afterwards to answer some more questions if you have. Okay, so thank you for your attention.
Hi, I actually wanted my my other partner or speaker to take the place because it's kind of it's not fair since he's the only guy here. So anyway,
That's good.
I have too many things in front. My thought. So I actually want to start by saying that the topic name for my talk was picked. I did not pick the topic. The reason why I want to say that is that I'm not that self-involved person, so just so you know. Anyway, so it was hard to find actually a good presentation to inspire in cybersecurity because, you know, cybersecurity pretty, like, sometimes it makes me cry. But anyway, so my name is Teuta Hyseni. I'm a senior security engineer at Microsoft. I've been at Microsoft now 5 years, but that's not where it started. So I used to be a programmer, a software engineer. I worked as a software engineer for 5 years. I was a full stack software engineer, so it was challenging until it was not, because for those who write softwares or build web applications, you know that as soon as you build like 3 or 4 projects, it starts to get the same. Like you get the repetition of the same kind of features. Like generally, normally web application have similar features, like somewhere to comment, somewhere to upload a feature, files, and somewhere like to log in. So when you start building like 5 or 6 applications, it starts to get repetition work, and I am not that. I'm not that I mean, I don't enjoy doing like repetition things. So during December, one of the Decembers, so in US, Christmas is a pretty big deal. It's the biggest holiday. But for me, because you know, I always like to come in Kosovo for New Year's Eve. So for me, I was waiting for New Year's Eve to take my days off. And so there was a need for someone to help with the web application assessment. Although I was a software engineer, I did not know a lot about application security, but of course, I said, sure, why not? And as soon as I started working on web applications, I kind of started enjoying, because, you know, one, it was super easy for me because I used to build applications, so I already know like where we cut corners. And also, secondly, it was super fun to break others' projects. Who would not like to break something and then show it to this engineer, and then it was exciting and interesting. And soon enough, I actually became the lead of that project because I just loved it. I was also still learning. And then, like, since then, I'm still a security engineer. I did not move back to software engineering at all. So now what I do is I spend most of the time analyzing architecture. For those who are in cybersecurity, threat modeling is a thing. And so my job is mostly like a security architect, so I spend most of the time analyzing different designs and pinpointing where are their flaws. But, so I have put a quote from Tesla. This was in 1926. And he was probably like one of the smartest guys that he said that we will live in a world when Wi-Fi is applied perfectly, the whole world is going to convert to be like a big brain. And people will be able to manage things from a device that you can fit in a pocket, which basically kind of predicted, right? Now we do that. We have not just our computer, but we have our household appliances. We have planes, we have cars that are connected to an internet, are connected to a network, I would say. And that is when the shortcoming of this particular advance comes into play. Because we love innovation, but as a side effect, we have cybersecurity threats. Because whenever the internet was designed, it was meant to be open. And now we're trying to cover and make it closed for something, but that's where the cybersecurity threats and vulnerabilities come. So, because of the advances that we have, we see a lot of news about not just web, I guess like not just a I don't know, product like something that we use has been hacked, like Facebook or I don't know, Instagram. But there's something more fundamental, like hard devices, self-driving cars. You see, power grids, that is pretty dangerous if you think that someone actually can get hold of it. And so this is the reason why I stayed in security, because one, it just makes me feel so good because I feel I'm in a mission, because while we spend time innovating, we are responsible to build safer products, not just innovate, but think about like how that product can actually be misused. And that's where I actually am really interested. So let me talk a little bit about this picture. Every time we see the news, somehow all the hackers are either like teenagers or someone with a black hoodie that is doing all the hacking. But that is not the reality. I mean, we have teenagers who are interested and who are seeking thrill to, poke around different products, but that is not it. The actual, I will call them criminals because that's what they are. The actual criminals are actually like an organization, they are like a company. They have their own operations, they have their own trade supply. It's not like a one-person job. This is like a full company working for the, just for the purpose of hacking people. And while this is true, there are motivations that, different hacks happen. The majority of hacks happen because of financial reasons. There are, of course, like insider threats. You have political or, cyber war or competition. But the majority of hacks happen because of financial reasons. All right, so in this picture, I like numbers. So one of my professors used to say, in God we trust, but the rest of us bring data. So the want to concentrate today in something really specific, because 85% of the hacks don't happen because of a vulnerable application, but because of human error. So think about it. You can have a most advanced, fancy door, but if someone gets the key, that is it. So that is why I want to bring attention to something that is very fundamental, and not quite often we have solutions. As an engineer, we quite often think about solutions, technical solutions, but that's how we are built to think about. We build solutions on, I don't know, like, there are so many smart engineers that think about like how to solve a solution on the application side, which is great, but we have to also make sure that the end users are, aware of these things. So I want to talk about a little bit about psychological manipulations that the cyber criminals use. As we advance technologically and also as human beings, they, they are the same part of our society that advanced too. So they use actual psychological tricks to fool the normal user. We don't necessarily think about our emails all the time. We don't pay attention to details. So those are the things that are usually used. For example, the first thing that they use is eliminate the critical thinking. You see, they are talking about that you have been hacked, and please click here, so then you fix that issue. But in reality, you have not been hacked until this point, but you will be for sure if you follow those instructions. You see, that is a psychological trick that is used to make you think that you are already hacked, and so someone is trying to save you, but the reality is actually you're about to get hacked. The second one is sympathy. This is how society works. We sympathize towards certain things. Sick kids. They often use fake profiles, such as beautiful women or whatever, to trick other people into talking about their information that they need. So in social media particularly, they create fake profiles which lure the victims to either give up on something that they need. And the other one, have you seen commercials, especially like, for example, toothpaste? They use actors, but the actors are dressed up like a doctor, and they talk as an authority. We do trust doctors, right? Generally, when you go to a doctor, whatever they say, we do tend to do whatever they ask us. And so they try to use the same trick, right, to make you believe that, for example, this is National Security Department, where in what I'm trying to cover here, because this is from US, but they try to use authorities such as from the bank, the email from the bank, hey, you have such and such thing, please proceed to, your account has been frozen. If you don't, act now, because always is now. They never say like, please do later. They say like, act now because we are about to, I don't know, delete your account or something. But they try to use authority and the emergency to actually kind of lure you to respond to whatever they want to do. The next thing, so how many of you have smart devices at home? Anyone? Echo? So we don't really think about that the tiny box has so many things. If you look at from the back-end perspective, it is talking to someone in server. Let alone, we are not even talking about artificial intelligence, I'm just talking in general. Smart devices have to talk to somewhere in the service. Like not in your home. It needs to make a call somewhere on either Amazon or wherever. So they have a lot of potential to be actually hacked. But in our mind, because when you look at it, it is just a box, right? And you don't think that that's actually a full-fledged equipment. And it takes one device in your home or in your network to be hacked, or which is hackable, that can infect the rest of your appliances or whatever, if you're a company, your assets, or your computers, your servers, etc. So they use this trick because the other thing is that they don't have any interface. Even if your device is already been hacked, there is no message coming back saying, hey, someone is actually you. For example, baby cameras. Probably everyone knows the instance. Someone is watching you through that camera that you put for your baby, because there is no message being delivered back to the user. Mostly they have sounds or lights, but not necessarily something more that makes you understand that your device has been compromised. One example that I want to put about self-driving cars is, for example, even if you see these dots in a stop sign, you still can read it as a stop sign, right? It's not nothing, we have old signs and we still can make it, we can tell whether it's a stop sign or not. But for self-driving cars, that can mean a lot. For example, there's a study was done in numerous self-driving cars that just making few changes, modifications of stop sign, it translated to a 45 speed limit, meaning that you can go 45. So, for example, the normal cars are expecting you to stop, but your car thought that this is a 45-minute speed limit, so they just, the car just continued to drive. So, the next day, the accident. The same thing for the other example. It's just a small modification made to for the self-driving car to understand that it's a stop sign. So the other thing that I want to say, because it was, as I said, it was quite hard for me to talk about security and inspire. So I want to inspire you to be more diligent whenever you're acting on your emails, trying to add a new device in your home. Before you do any of these things, I want you to think about what can go wrong. What if someone who hates you or someone who wants to steal from you can get hold of it? Anyway, this is all, and thank you very much for your attention. Any questions? Okay. She's fired, just firing questions all the time.
What is the biggest risk you've taken, academically or just work-wise in general?
So everything we do is just, there is an associated risk with it. First of all, I moved when I was 18. I went to college in US when I was 18, and that was pretty big risk because it was everything new, and it took me a while to adjust. So, but the other thing is you're switching careers from software engineering to security engineer. I think that, the biggest rewards that you get is when you get, the bigger the risk, and then even if you understand the investment, the bigger the risk, the bigger the reward. So one thing I would say, because I see you're pretty young, is that take risks when you're young, because the cost of failure is cheaper for you because you fail and you take it as a learning lesson. So that's my advice. If you try to play safe, probably you will do okay, but that's not the point. On a class of ship,
Have you ever imagined yourself working for such a big company as Microsoft is?
It was an interesting story. When I interviewed for my scholarship, in the first question they asked is, what do you see yourself doing in the future? I didn't say I wanted to work for a company that was started like Bill Gates, but I said I want to be like Bill Gates. So, yeah, so there are companies who, take security, at heart, and some of them they don't. But I'm glad that I work for Microsoft because as a security engineer, you want to work for a company where security is appreciated and actually is a high priority.
Security-wise, how safe can you make a device or web program? What is the limit? Can you make it unhackable?
No. The short answer is no, because there is nothing as unhackable. If someone says that this is 100% secure, they probably don't know a lot. So here's how the vulnerabilities work. Let's just say there was a library that was just, launched or pushed into, for public just now. Usually the vulnerabilities come as much later. For example, some encryption used to be really like the top of the highest encryption you can apply, but with the time, with the progress of the different tools, and also something is vulnerable until it is. So it's about when you get hacked or when there is a vulnerability, it's usually because someone thought about something that no one else thought. So for example, when you use a tool, you can use it in different ways. It's just about whenever someone finds that way. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Any other questions? Okay. And I'm super happy that I see so many young people here. So.
Okay, so you mentioned that you look at projects and pinpoint their flaws. But at this point, does it get repetitive? For example, you've seen so many other applications, you know all the flaws that could happen, or do you need to be still creative and predict what could go wrong with that project?
Yeah, so I work with different projects. Not every single day is something different. So that doesn't get repetitive because it's not about like this is or whatever. The DFD is just me, it's to establish mutual understanding between me and engineering. That's how I guess the language that we talk with engineering is having data flows, right? That is just to establish the mutual understanding. The flows are different because what those boxes represent is different features. And different features inherit different risks.
Do you have any advice on young people that want to get into cybersecurity?
Please don't be malicious. Yes, as I, in the very first slides, I said that we are just increasing so as I said, like in the very beginning, we used to have only computers that was something that someone can hack, right? Now, every day we are adding more devices that used to be, offline, like washing machine and, I don't know, the medical devices. So this is not gonna stop. I embrace the innovation, so I actually encourage you to be cybersecurity professionals because we do really need more.
Thank you, Teuta, first for contributing for your country with such a topic and coming all along here. My question towards you goes how to keep those youngsters in the country and still become, let's say, very experienced professionals for big corporates, because the country will need them.
Yes, so it's a more complicated answer because I am not a politician. I cannot answer a lot of things, but I will say something because there are just administrative problems that currently Kosovo faces. But there are, for example, I know already people who live in Kosovo and actually work for big companies. That's been a trend. And especially, with the COVID, I used to go to the office. And I don't necessarily go anymore to the office. So it's not about where you are located, it's more about what do you know and what can you bring to the table. And actually, honestly, like, being with your family and having the luxury to have, you know, like to work for these big companies is the best.
Now we're pleased to hear from him about cyber war and critical condition the world is going through. Ms. Ramsés Gallego, International Chief Technology Officer.
The world is changing at the speed of light. There are things happening on any industry, any region of the world, any market that fundamentally changes the way we live, the way we work, the way we play, the way we behave. Some people call it the cloud, machine learning, big data, huge data, analytics, you name it. But the real thing is that it changes how we behave and how we approach life. Actually, when I was preparing this session for you, with you, through you, I'm blessed of being back to beautiful Kosovo. Again, thank you for inviting me. This region of the world has always treated me amazingly. But in the next 45 minutes, I'm inviting you into a journey from cybersecurity to cyber resiliency. Resiliency, the dictionary says, is the capacity to endure, the capacity to resist, the capacity to withstand no matter what. Good evening. My name is Ramsés Gallego. I'm International Chief Technology Officer for CyberRes, a micro-focus line in business, and I'm inviting you to the journey, to go back to the beginning. Go back to the roots. History has shown us that we need to ask the right questions to the right people at the right time. And when it's about war, ouch. When it's about protection and defense, when it's about safeguarding your most precious assets, who are they or what are they? As fathers, mothers, kids of the world, young professionals that you are, employers, employees, nations, what are your most precious assets? So going back to the beginning, in the chapter 1 of the book of life, not just the book of business, not just the book of protecting citizens and people, in the book of life. And for that I chose the DNA. Back to the beginning, right? The beginning is the DNA. The DNA is the molecule that carries all of the genetic information for any living organism, and there's a question for you on that, by the way. With five functions, which is being born, develop, grow, function, and reproduction. Born, grow, develop, function, sometimes malfunctioning, hopefully not, but that's an option. And then reproducing, making it larger, making it bigger. Hey, Ramsés, make it wider. You know, I work for a company that actually sells things. And what they want to do is, yeah, they are a for-profit company. And they want to make it bigger, deeper, wider. So, with the DNA and that idea of a living organism, my question to you all, as region of the world, as this blessed country that you are you a living organism? I think you are. You were born, then you grow, hopefully, you function, hopefully well, you develop, and then you want to reproduce. In terms of probably not making it bigger, but certainly making it safer. Protecting people, protecting assets, protecting the soil, protecting territory. And this talk is about, unfortunately, cyber warfare. Military operations in cyberspace. And my fellow speakers before me have done a great job on explaining, different attacks. It is happening, ladies and gentlemen, in the present continuous. Not it is going to happen in the future, it has just happened. No. Can you please use the present continuous in English? It is happening as I am speaking now. To your bank, your company, my government, my neighborhood, maybe my credit card information, who knows? So that's important, and especially these days that we talk too much. And again, I work for a vendor, we sell things. But you go to conferences and you talk about, and you hear about digital disruption, digital transformation. It looks like a TV movie, Now streaming on Netflix or on Amazon, season 1 of digital transformation. That's super cool. But the name of the game The name of the game is not just digital transformation or digital disruption, but radical innovation. Can you please note it down? Radical innovation, doing different things differently. You know why? Because Teuta was explaining very well that on the attack vector, the bad guys, yes, I absolutely agree, criminals, in capitals please, criminals are innovating in a radical way. They are trying and trying and trying, thinking things that were not thought before, there was a question about that just a couple of minutes ago. So, radical innovation is absolutely the name of the game. In difficult times of war, in difficult times of, listen, and this is super crazy, people against people, people against companies, companies against people, the people against governments because we are upset with the government, and then nations against nations, and nations against people. Oh boy, it's happening. It's a mess. But why is it happening? Why is it possible that is happening? Because everything these days is at 3 clicks of distance, ladies and gentlemen. It's happening because it's possible to happen. Because things are I'm coming from Barcelona, Catalonia. Yes, Spain, I know, but let me say I'm Catalan, or I'm Spanish as well, but you know, yeah, that's it, you know, so this is why I brought my Catalan soul with me rather than the Spanish one, for obvious reasons, but we are in times of war. We are in times where things are very difficult, and especially for this talk, as I was invited again, thank you very much, as an inspiring talk, hopefully, you'll tell me when I finish. Let's talk a little bit about, unfortunately, war, but let's talk about strategy and tactics. Hey, listen, how many conversations do you have on strategy and tactics? No, seriously. As a family, probably as friends, not too many, you know, at your age, but certainly at our age, am I right? The veterans in the house. How many conversations you have about strategy and tactics, thinking about 5, 7, 10 years ahead? Well, 10 is too much, but probably 5 and 7. And then the tactics. And for that, let me use my metaphor of chess. You know the game of chess? The sport of chess. The beautiful sport. It's not even a game, it's considered a sport. And in the game of chess, you have, and this is super cool again, mimicking the times that we are living. You have a defined territory, am I right? 64 squares, 8 times 8, defined territory. If it rings any bell, you know, in a regional perspective, a defined territory, a country, a region, a community. You have different assets to play with, a limited set of assets. Does it ring any bell? Money is not unlimited, right? Unfortunately. Assets are not infinite. You have a defined territory with a number of defined assets that you have to play with in terms of strategy, how I'm going to move, what is my plan, but then you have to play tactics, okay? So this is very important. However, I have chosen this picture because in the game of chess, basically, and in war, you basically win by killing someone. In this case, checkmate to the king, and then you win the game of chess, correct? Unfortunately, that's you kill, you know, okay. However, there are other very important pieces in the game of chess. The pawn, the rook, the horse, and the queen. And yes, I'm addressing you ladies in the room, and you guys as well. But not because I want to be nice and super nice, politically speaking. No, it's because I do believe that while the king is critical, the queen, ladies and gentlemen, can do any movement in chess except the one of the horse. So the queen cannot jump as the horse does, but all of the others she can do. Actually, she can move, you know, diagonally, horizontally, vertically, one by one, all across the board. That's super nice, right? And what we teach in the University of Economics or Business Management, actually it's a marketing saying, business is king, remember? Customer is king, citizen is king, if you will. That's an old saying, especially in marketing, right, in business, okay? Okay, if business is king, the rest of the things that allow the king to live, which is privacy, compliance, identity management, application security, infrastructure management, governance, assurance, single sign-on, identity management, access control, all of those things are the queen. The queen is instrumental for winning a game of chess, and I'm not kidding. The people that play chess very well say you cannot win a game of chess without a proper queen. That's correct, sir. Okay? Having said that, my metaphor on the chess goes further. Probably I'm oversimplifying what I'm going to say. I think I'm not, but just in case, to make it easier, every company on the planet, every country, if you will, of the planet, has not one, but 3 chessboards. And as you can see in this, in my picture, in my visual, they are interconnected. Well, those 3, and please remember that when, and again, I'm oversimplifying, but please remember this when you are defining an architecture, infrastructure, or just simply asking the right questions to the right people at the right time. Every company out there has identities, data, and applications. Identities, let me pause here for a second. Identities. In the universal question on security, the universal question on security basically is who has access to what? Let me say it again. Who has access to what? Hey, listen, the first word, the first one, is the who. Identity. Welcome to a world where it is critical, instrumental, fundamental to know who. Then has access to what? Data. Whether in the cloud, or on-prem, or on your server, or on your phone, or on your purse, or on your bag. But who has access to what? How the access was granted. For how long? For how long the access was granted? With how many privileges? How deep is the access? Forever? She can be goddess or he can be God in a machine, talking about enterprise architecture, as Teuta was saying. You know, those are fundamental questions. And unfortunately, we don't do them much. And again, they are useful also in life. I mean, if you are in a court of law, in front of a judge, your honor, usually, well, they do, unfortunately, they don't know much of technology. But oh boy, they do know how to ask questions. And questions like, but you didn't know? You didn't care about the infrastructure? So you didn't know about that cloud? Really? Sir, madam, you were not diligent enough to do a proper job with your customers in case of a bank or a government. Who has access to what? And then, of course, my third board game is applications, that they are hosted. Applications, at the end of the day, they host data, whether in the cloud, on-prem, or an app in your mobile phone, which is absolutely important. But in order to do that, let me move, because especially, you know, in this region of the world, I understand not only that the cyber police flag is kind of cool, but I'm inviting you to turn your heads. Everybody does that, exactly. You know, just to read the sentence in there. Don't worry, I'm going to do it for you. Consequences will never be the same. Boom. Because whatever happens, consequences, the impact on societies at large, people, cyber defense strategies, deployment of new products. If they steal the intellectual property of my company, you know, in a way, we're doomed. If your bank is hacked, I think that you will be in the first page of the paper tomorrow. I'm sure of that. And if any of the threats that Teuta was showing us realized, and they do, I think that there's have an impact. So consequences will never be the same in terms of we don't actually realize what's happening. And we think that, and something that I was ready to be asked before on the car, we had a conversation on, you know, what is the biggest thing in security these days? I'm telling you now, the false sense of security. Thinking that, come on, Ramsés, who's interested in me? I mean, who's interested on my, we tend to think that it's just about pictures and videos, and no. It's either money, I said it 3 times, or geopolitical interests. There was a point in time when it was cool to be a hacker, because actually the term hacker is to prove that I am more capable attacking than you defending. And then you hacked a website, and then you get a picture of a nude boy or a nude girl, you know, like I've been here, you know. There was a time to prove that you are technologically more capable. That was in the 80s, not anymore. Now, again, states against states, and people against people, and companies, and then governments, and then everything in the middle. Consequences will never be the same. If I move, yes, it's coming. Usually, at this point in time in the presentation, I stop talking. But I can't, because I'm a talker. But usually I should do like a silence, you know, like a dramatic pause, like. But I can't. But if I do that, everybody in the house now understands that this is what I'm talking about. A grenade, something that comes from a keyboard, through a keyboard, with a keyboard. At 3 clicks of distance. That the next big thing, and you could call it terrorism or nation-state attacks or whatever is going to happen, and unfortunately, yes, we are living very difficult times of war, physical war. I mean, people get killed, you know, in the border. I understand that, and I say it with massive respect. But there are what it's called lateral campaigns and digital campaigns to support these things that are happening. Actually, I have a similar slide like my friend showed, you know. On top of that, you know, we think that it's not about who this, but I'm going to change a little bit what Teuta said, which was great. I have chosen one with zeros and ones. Unfortunately, I don't have the time today, but I will be blessed to be back anytime if you invite me again, because I usually teach on quantum computing. Quantum computing is quantum computers, that apply and work following the theory of quantum mechanics and quantum physics. And then it's not about zeros or ones. This is why I chose that one on top of what Teuta was showing, is 0, 1s or both things at the same time. Who? What? Yes, it's called superposition. And again, I don't have, unfortunately, the time to develop that, but I will be honored to answer any question. But this is super important, right? But let me close that door, because on top of that, we live... I scared you? Did I scare you with my voice? I'm sorry for that. That's part of the game. So, on top of that, they say, hey, if you don't behave, I'm coming after you. If I don't like your green IT social policy of your company, I'm coming after you. Hey, you pharma of the world, if you don't behave, we're coming after you. Wow. Why? Because it's possible. Because everything is at 3 clicks of distance. So one thing, as I'm going to close the first part of my presentation, I want to be respectful with the time, is cyber attacks just ahead. They are happening. Please, in the present continuous as I am speaking. I said 10 minutes ago that I was inviting you into a journey. And because we are out, I hope, of a pandemic, still there are things that happen, but I would say that we are in a post, hopefully, pandemic world. But I chose the next 2 following pictures in order to invite you into that journey. Don't get me wrong, security/cybersecurity is fundamental, critical, and I will say it 1,000 more times. Protecting, defending, identifying, the things that we still today teach at the university, and that's fantastic, that's great. At the beginning of the pandemic, that was security, you know, creating layers of, you know, protection and the suits, and that's absolutely great. And that mirrors quite well the different layers of protecting an infrastructure from an enterprise and security architecture. However, that resiliency, going out from the hospital on your own, recovering, enduring, withstanding. Again, I am not making this up. Go and check the dictionary. Resiliency, the capacity to endure, the capacity to resist, the capacity to withstand. Okay, and that's important. Not only the prevention part of the equation, the detection part of the equation, that's great. But how you, and when I say you is you, and you, and you, and you, how you respond, and how hopefully your company, neighborhood, association, region of the world, community, government, country goes out of difficult times of war. That's the name of the game. Especially when, and I'm assuming that everybody here in the room understands the idea of IoT. You familiar with IoT, Internet of Things? Okay. The thing is that it's not the Internet of Things to my eyes, but the Internet of everything. As Teuta was showing, I mean, how many devices you have connected in your house? The Alexas of the world, and the PlayStations, and the phones, and the... Trust me, check it. The smart TV, by the way, no less than 23. I'm putting money on the table now. Everybody here, no less than 20. 20! And you're thinking, oh yeah, but wait a second. The 5 phones that I have in my household, and then the TV, and then there are many other devices connected. Okay, so IoT, Internet of Things, Internet of Everything. But if I'm playing a little bit with words, IoT can also mean the Internet of Threads. An Internet of Threads, IoT. Did you like that? I have another one for you then. Because IoT also means, ouch, the Internet of trouble, the Internet of problems. And I'm not changing any single word, IoT. Asking the right questions to the right people at the right time is fundamental to solve basic questions on cybersecurity, but fundamental questions on cyber resiliency, the capacity to endure. Especially because we are living on an age, and let me go very rapidly, the next 4 slides are about, you know that this is absolutely economically possible and technologically viable to make you say something that it was not even you. There are fantastic videos using AI of President Obama and others. I mean, this is super cool. I mean, I admire those guys because this is super nice, but it's super scary. Can you imagine, you know, the president of Coca-Cola or JP Morgan Chase or the president or CEO of my company going out in public? It was not him, but saying something that the stock price goes down. Can you imagine doing that in times of war, saying something very inappropriate? Religiously talking? I mean, religion against religion. I mean, it's super scary, but it's economically possible and technologically viable to manipulate through social media and other things, you know, the human brain. If you think I'm kidding, let me use another slide that I liked it very much. Every time you see the Wi-Fi, I always remember the Pinocchio sort of thing. You know why? Because I was on an airport. I swear to God that everything was legal. When I'm going to explain, it was legal. So we took all of the measures that we needed to take. But you go, we went on an airport within an experiment, and then you know that coffee Wi-Fi, airport Wi-Fi that everybody connects to, that it's free airport, free Wi-Fi. Everybody does that. Everybody does that. It could be hacked. What I'm saying is that I created that Wi-Fi. I'm sitting on gate 815. I have 2 hours of time, and then I create that hotspot for you that you are doing the layover to connect, because everybody does that, right? Everybody connects to free Wi-Fi, super connection, super speed, free whatever. And then it was not a free Wi-Fi, it was free, but it was me, you know, spying. Again, all of the legal measures, I cannot disclose the project, but it was great. We told people, listen, I mean, we were deleting the information, don't worry, that we knew what we were doing, but this is super interesting. And especially when I talk about fake news and manipulation, just in case you're wondering what's this is one of the many applications that are for tracking, in this case, Twitter. And then the red dots and the blue dots are polarization, and what is the influence of this guy into a group of guys. I mean, this is absolutely economically viable, economically viable and technologically possible. All right, so trying to influence by saying things that you want to say. All right, actually, and let me close that second part of the presentation very rapidly, especially in times of war, especially in times where information is key. I wanted to mention the idea of we have information. You, governments, associations, non-for-profit entities, everybody deals with information these days, especially in this digital epoch, right? The thing in the cyber warfare or military operation in cyberspace, and by the way, I don't know in your language, it doesn't work in my language, in Catalan or in Spanish, I don't know in your language, but in English, they have a very interesting distinction with these 2 words. There's one thing called disinformation, and there's another thing which is misinformation. Ladies and gentlemen, those are different things. Those are different things. I mean, one has the intention of tricking you, of lying to you in order for you to take action, while the other is a mistake. Yeah, exactly. So, but this is important. Have you ever think about it? Have you ever thought, about it? Probably not. But it's important to do that. Let me open the third part of the session and then very rapidly wrapping up. I came all the way from my country, Catalonia, Spain, if you will, to talk about risk.
Thank you.
Oh, my pleasure. It's a pleasure. But, you know, in my country, I'm sorry, this is Spanish, but, you know, we have a board game, Risk, you know? I mean, yeah, it's called Risk. Well, this one is called Risk. And it's funny because it's a strategy game, strategy and tactics. Does it ring any bell? Has anyone talked about that before? Strategy and tactics. But it's called risk. It's not called fighting or battle or killing or conquering or stratego. No, it's called risk for a reason. Because it talks about a defined territory, a defined set of assets, a limited number of resources in order to conquer the world. It says in Spanish, el juego de la conquista del mundo, the game of conquering the world. It's not very much different from a digital perspective, the game of conquering the world. I'm envisioning, we are all living, I would say, in a world with no barriers and no secrets. Because it's technologically viable, economically possible, at 3 clicks of distance, without the opportunity of prosecuting it. If there's any lawyer in the house, I have a question for you. How do you actually prosecute crime that is done from a country? Or from Chicago, Illinois? How do you track someone who's attacking you from Singapore? What do? You go to the Kosovo police and, excuse me? Yeah. Interpol, yes, but and cross your fingers, but yes. This the idea. No, but you're absolutely right. The methods are there. The success, I'm not that sure, but you're absolutely right. In any case, because I came all the way to, unfortunately, talk about war, let me open the door to two authors. This is the Prussian general Karl von Clausewitz. Karl von Clausewitz, basically known by one book with a very explicit title, Of War. Of War. And what Mr. von Clausewitz said, basically, summarizing, is we will try not to fight. But if we engage, I will do whatever it takes to kill you. We will try not to engage, sir. But if we do, I will do all the best in my power to kill you, because that's, he wrote, the ultimate goal of war. I tend to disagree with that, but in any case, I want to open the door to another fantastic book of war, which is written in the 4th century before Christ. In the 4th century before Christ, Sun Tzu, the Chinese general, The Art of War. Actually, again, I don't have time to open the book in full. I have a full session on the art of war, the art of cyber war. But for this session, I chose 2 sentences. The first one on my back now. Every battle is fought before it is won, before it is fought. This is an inspiring talk, right? So hopefully that inspires you to what? To be ready. Because every battle is won before it is fought. You win by preparing. You play any sport, you play any game, professionally or not, but you decide strategy and tactics, again, and then you win by even before the game. Then you need to go out and execute, of course. And all of the plays and the playbook has to be robust and solid. I give you that. And you have to be on a good day, on your A game. But if you don't prepare, if you are not ready, this is readiness and preparedness to my eyes. And by the way, the second sentence that I chose is exactly the same. It's basically, know yourself and know your enemy. Know what you can do and what you cannot do. Know what you can do by yourself or where you need help. And then you will count 1,000 battles as 1,000 victories. If you know your game and you know your environment, if you will, your competition. I don't like to see competition as an enemy, but okay. Or the law. Some people think that the law is a barrier, the law is a problem. I tend to disagree, but in any case, I respect that. But know yourself, know your enemy, and you will count 1,000 battles as 1,000 victories. Because I came all the way to talk a little bit about war. Well, this is an American battalion. By the way, and I'm sorry, I don't know if you see it well, because there's too much light in here, but in any case, what you are seeing on my back is a squadron of an American, the military. Listen, every soldier is looking into one direction. This guy is looking this way, this is looking up, we have one on the back, this is one on the back. So, different people, different weapons. They carry different weapons. This is a heavy one. This is a sniper, probably. I don't know. I'm not an expert on that. But so different skills, different weapons, different directions, different visions, in order to win. Ladies and gentlemen, this is not much different from this. Yes, I know, this is a state-of-the-art security operations center. You know, like Houston, we have a problem sort of thing. I know that. But what you are seeing here is different people with different weapons, different assets, looking into different directions. Oh yes, I know. From an enterprise architecture, I know it's difficult. This is absolutely real time. Okay, as I'm starting to finish, I came all the way, and I'm sorry if you cannot read that, because this is a super cool slide. So, the strategic operational domain. How many conversations you have? Probably not many. And I'm not talking to the veterans in the house, I'm also talking to the young professionals here in the house. It's about times of peace, understanding the taxonomy, when we're good, when we are not fighting. There are things that you have to take into account. Unfortunately, the world is not looking okay, and there's this escalation of a problem. And there are things that you have to do on the physical domain and on the digital domain. There's the phase of pre-conflict, conflict itself, really unfortunately, de-conflict and restoration of peace. I can send you this slide right now. It is as mine as it is yours. Because when I was invited to talk about this, is military operations on cyberspace, okay? Especially because we already know how they try to attack us. I don't know how familiar you are here in the room with the Maitre attack framework. Attack, yes, attack. Attack is an acronym, follow me. Adversarial tactics, techniques, and common knowledge. Let me say it again. This is being recorded, right? So that's good. Adversarial, the enemy. Tactics, techniques, and common knowledge. What the Maitre guys, this is free. This is free, you can check it out. No one is selling you the Maitre attack framework. There are different products out there that use the Maitre attack framework. The Maitre attack framework is so cool that from left to right, now, ladies and gentlemen, the book of attack has been written. Now we have a certain degree of knowledge how they are trying to attack us. I'm serious. So, from left to right, now we know how they're trying to gain initial access, how they're trying to execute the attack, how they try to persist, how they try to do lateral movements, how they try to stall the credential, command and control. We know. With a certain degree of knowledge. Of course, as I said before, and my colleague was saying before, they try new things, and it's a sort of a cat and the mouse sort of game. I understand that. The bad guys will always be bad guys, and we're the good guys. We need to do what it takes to protect and defend. But this is interesting, and I wanted to let you know about the Maitre attack framework. But guess what? My friends at Maitre also have the defend framework. It is not as complete as the attack. So the defend framework that you see on my back now, it is not as robust, it is not as complete as the attack one. Actually, this is new, and the other one has, I don't know how many years already, right? But it's important. Let me move, because I want to finish soon, because I want to be respectful with the audience. Because this is Inspiring Talks. I came all the way from my country, and again, I'm blessed of moderating a panel tomorrow at the hotel, you know, at the venue for the Digital Summit. Because I knew that there were going to be, and I'm super happy for that, young people in the room, and veterans, of course, and young professionals. And because I started talking about the DNA, remember? That was something like 33 minutes ago. The DNA, the molecule that carries. I wanted to start my finish with the genes of the next generation of cyber professionals. The genes of the next generation. Because although it sounds a little romantic, I honestly think that the Digital Summit in its 5th edition, and next year is going to be in Serbia, if I recall correctly, in Bosnia, excuse me, I apologize, Bosnia, that's what I meant, the 6th edition. In any case, I do celebrate, not only being here, that by attending these sort of events, by exchanging, by sharing, by teaching, and by learning, you young people and the rest of us, we can be even more intelligent. More intelligent. We have a unique opportunity of becoming or being seen as genius. being seen as unique. Oh, you know your game. Oh, you know the processes. Or you know enterprise architecture. You know application security. You know, that's great. Becoming a genius. We the good guys, we need to be generous. Sharing information. With all of the anonymity that you want. I understand that banks and governments of the world don't want to disclose everything. But nothing? Nothing, really? Sharing information for the greater good. Especially, again, in the WB6 region. To be seen as genuine, unique, authentic, and most importantly, to becoming an agent of change. An agent of change. But before I start my ending with 3 more slides, my ask to you and my question to you is if you want to become a legend. Becoming a legend, yes? You don't want to become a legend? Because legends are remembered. Legends leave a legacy. When you leave, when you change work, when you work for another company, another government, when you retire 15 years from now, and what you deploy there, it's still there. It works. You remember that product that you acquire and it's there. You remember that process that you define for gaining cyber resiliency? Hey, Ramsés is still there. Becoming a legend. So my ending starts now with a quote in Latin. And because this talk was about or is about cyber warfare and the critical condition the world is in, let me tell you about, by the way, this is in the capital of my country, this is in Madrid, this is the casino in Madrid, this is in the heart of the city, Gran Via number 13. But it says in Latin in there, don't worry, I'm going to translate it to English in a second, si vis pacem para bellum. If you want peace, prepare for war. But if you want peace, prepare for war, because things will happen, and you again in this region of the world know a lot about that. So if you wanna peace, so prepare for war. My ending is the following. My last two slides. Have you seen Blade Runner, the original one, the movie? No, with Harrison Ford. Well, that's a shame because that's a classic. You know, the movie has like 20 years or something. I strongly invite you. It has a second part with Ryan Gosling. It's called Blade Runner 2048. I didn't like that one, but this one is a classic. I mean, you should see it. It's a futuristic scene of the world. There are robots and etc. I'm going to do my ending by quoting the famous monologue, Tears in the Rain. Tears in the Rain, which by the way, you can find it on YouTube, is made by the actor Rutger Hauer in the skin of a robot that cannot die somehow, a robot that has done, I mean, it's a futuristic movie, it's super good. And again, Tears in the Rain, that's the name of the monologue, was half improvised by Rutger Hauer in this very dark scene. It is raining, by the way, Tears in the Rain, you know. Harrison Ford is sitting here, you know. So it's a very moving moment of the film. It's at the end, and again, if you don't like to see the movie, which is a shame if you don't do it, I mean, take a look at the Tears in the Rain monologue in YouTube. I have decided to close with this because I think it's hopefully inspirational. Like, this is an inspiring talk, hopefully, or it has been, I hope. And I'm asking you to listen to it, to experience it, without forgetting whatever happened here in the past 2 hours. Her talk, and hopefully my talk, were inspirational. I'm inviting you to hear Tears in the Rain, as I'm going to do it in the next 30 seconds. Not forgetting or remembering whatever you learned into these 2 hours with these 3 sessions. Rutger Hauer, in the skin of a replicant of a robot, says the following: I have seen things that you humans would not believe. Attack ships on fire off the shoulder of Orion. I have watched sea beams glitter in the dark near the Tannhauser Gate. All these moments will be lost in time like tears in the rain. Time to die. And it dies. And it fucking dies, excuse my French. It just dies. I have seen things that you people will not believe. Attack ships on fire of the shoulder of Orion, and I have watched sea beams glitter in the dark near the Tannhauser Gate, and okay, time to die, bye-bye, thank you very much. That's not fair. And if you learn anything from my session, but certainly from my colleague's session, in terms of enterprise architecture and the career path, and whatever happened in these 2 hours, please, please do not forget it. It was a pleasure to present for you. Thank you very much. It was a pleasure. Thank you very much. Thank you. And I'm open to any question. I want to be respectful with the time. We are on time. But, you know, I'm open to any question, comment, agreement. Disagreements, I take them as well. I take disagreements. I understand that usually happens. Actually, and we were talking about that on the car, I understand that there are no questions. By the way, you want to, I'm finished, okay? So, we were talking about that in the car. Do you want a tip, a trick, as a speaker, in order to entice people to have questions? You never ask, do you have any question? Is there any question? No, because sometimes it works, as with my colleagues, sometimes it doesn't, as with me. So what you have to ask is, now who has the first question? You see? No, I mean, that was not, no, what I'm trying, thank you very much. But what I'm trying to say is that you need to send the message that, now who has the first question? You don't ask if there is any. Because when someone is thinking about a question, but you know, usually shy, am I going to do it? No, if I'm saying now who has the first question, oh, who's talking about me? I mean, yeah, you know, so if there's any, do you have a question, really? Oh, okay, that's good. I thought he was helping me, you know, but okay, that was good. So, thank you, sir, and go ahead.
I wanted to quote you again.
Sure.
The book that you said, so I wanted to say that these speeches were nailed before they were done.
Thank you very much, I appreciate it. Oh, thank you very much. Actually, yeah, go ahead.
I wanted to ask you, how much have you prepared for this speech?
Thank you very much. You are not going to believe me. I understand, that happens a lot at home. You're not going to believe me. Actually, I don't do that. So my answer, not even me does what I'm going to say, okay? But you ask me and I'm going to tell you. They say that in order to prepare very, very, very good, not just preparing and, no, in order to prepare, for every hour of presentation, 40 hours of preparation. Nobody does that because that's a full week. And I understand we cannot afford it. And I understand, so that's my answer, 40 hours, I don't do that, I don't have time. However, the second part of my answer is, okay, 40 hours, no. 0? 40 minutes? How many of us, have reviewed the presentation in the bus, in the train, on the plane, 5 minutes before? Everybody does that, yes. I know. And that's unfair, because they will notice. Thanks for the comment, by the way. They will know. You can say whatever you want about me, that you dislike my English, you dislike my, my sweating, you dislike, but no one here can say that I came unprepared, that I don't know my game, because I've prepared that. Oh, thank you very much, I appreciate it. By the way, that gives me to, and thank you for the question, I go to the third tip, if you will. Try not to do someone else's presentation. I know that's difficult, especially in my line of work. I'm given presentations, I work for a company, and then, Ramsés, this is what you have to say. Shit. No, I don't like it. I will try to make it my own, so the message that the company, whatever it sells or whatever, but try to make your own presentation, because then you own it. That's my fourth tip. You own the presentation at the core. If you don't own the presentation, you, meaning they will feel like, oh, this guy came unprepared. You want another tip? We were talking in the car about that. I like it. Thank you for the question. That was unprepared. But never apologize. Never apologize. If you have a bad day, or you have a cough, or you imagine that I came out 45 minutes ago like a, excuse me, I'm sorry, I have a headache. I'm sorry, or I was not the one to do this presentation. I'm covering for a friend. You start by saying so. the message that you are sending is, oh boy. I mean, you as an audience, the message that you are receiving is, oh, this is going to be shit. Oh, this was not the guy who had to do the presentation. Oh, exactly, that's it. And you are a very good speaker. Exactly. You start by saying like, I'm sorry. So you are ready for a low performance. You're absolutely right. So thanks for the question. Thanks for, I have many other tips and tricks, but if you want one, which is basically combining all of the things I just said in this non-session, on the presentation techniques, rehearse, rehearse, rehearse. They will notice. Rehearse, rehearse, rehearse. I know, 40 hours, almost impossible. Some people do that. You need to afford one full week. But 0, that's unfair, not only with you, but with your audience. It's unfair with you. Of course, my presentation, and again, my fellow speakers before, the two ladies did a great job, but they didn't have to look for the slide. Maybe just to check that it was changing. But they know their material like this. If I don't know the material, what I have to do all of the time is, well, as you can read, and you know why? Because I don't know what is written. And yes, I know I didn't use words, I use visuals, and that takes time. But even if there's something written, again, my colleagues didn't have to look, what does it say? Because they know their game. You didn't use slides, you explained it very well, and that's another tip and trick. Rehearse, rehearse, rehearse. 40 hours, no. 0, no. That's right in the middle. Be an expert, be a professional. And then the message that you're sending is, woo, she or he rocks. I may dislike her or him. The English, the topic, I may even disagree with what he or she is saying. But she or he is ready. And as an audience, I appreciate that. All right? Thanks for the question. It was a long answer, but I appreciate that. Now, who has the second question? And if not, I am ready to go. I'll be around if you wanna say something. But it was a pleasure to present for you, and again, it was great. Back to the organizers. Thank you very much. It was great. Thank you very much. Thank you, guys.